Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Bossman Teaching speaking on behalf of Person Tutor, right? And of course, there's something that I've noticed about certain notations. I realized that if you compare these notations to the ones at chess.com, chess.com literally just tells you the destination and not where the pieces are coming from. Apologies for that. So yeah, so instead of saying D2 to D4, it will just write the image of the piece and then write D4, right? So anyhow, let's go through this. Yeah, that was a blunder for me. Yup, that was bad. But then he missed it. So yeah, I took that option away real quick. Yep, tempo on the queen, tempo on the queen, tempo on the queen. Yeah. I mean, in any other game, I might have missed that. In any other game, I might have missed that. Mm-hmm. Now, the specific blunder that took place was this is a discovery. The idea is that I capture the knight and lose the bishop, right? Only problem is I put him in check first, and then this gets really dark. Because now the knight is going to be defended, and it's not quite checkmate either. So now you have no choice but to give up the queen. So yeah, this is a short game, and again the notations are, I don't know, these are my favorite form of notations. I feel like you have full accountability. You see where the piece is coming from, where it's going. So starts at H4, ends up at F2, starts at G1, ends up at H1, right? And then of course, if you notice, they don't put the letter in front of, let's say, like D2 to D4, F7 to F5. So the instant you realize that there's not a letter in front of it, you know that it's a pawn move, right? So now they use white knight G1 to F3, black knight G8 to F6, white knight B1 to C3, D7 to D6 indicating it's just a pawn, E2 to E3, just a pawn, right? Bishop C8 to E6, right? Black bishop, right? F1 to E2, right? The white bishop doing that. Yeah. I really like these notations. I really do. Alright, so the plus sign is an indication of being put in check, right? So notice you don't just make the move, but you put your opponent in check. So I block. D5 captures C6. B7 captures C6, right? So the X is for the capture. Alright, now you have B5 to A4, B2 to B3, just a pawn move, F8 to E7, right? Now, I have a theory about why they have 2 circles and 3 circles for king side and queen side castle. I get the feeling that that has a lot to do with the spaces in between the rooks. So 2 circles would indicate the 2 spaces between the king and the rook, hence indicating the king side castle. Right? So both of us, king side castle. Right? Mm-hmm. Yep. I keep looking at this. This could have been horrific for me. But I get the feeling that he was focused on something else. Because somehow he went h2 to h4, completely ignoring the capture on e6. That e6 capture would have been lethal. So I closed it off. Say, well, if you didn't see it, I guess I did. Okay, so let's continue. Right, h7, h6, definitely a pawn move. g5 to h3, g6 to h5. Queen moves over to the side, right? Then tempo on the queen again. Tempo on the queen again. Yeah, I got the free pawn, right? I mean, if it was me, I would have gone for g2 to g3. Just kick away the bishop. Just kick it away, because you don't want that eyeing the f2 square. You didn't want that. Yeah. So as you can see, the X indicating capture, right? X indicating capture again. And then the dash is just a move, right? Moving from one square to the next. All right, a discovery, a capture with check, right? So it's X and the plus. And then the final move. Yes, so once again, let's just look at this one more time. So the blunder was the discovery on my bishop. I delivered the check and he went in the wrong direction. Maybe, just maybe, it wouldn't have happened if he had gone to f1. But going to h1, yeah, that was bad news. Yup, going to the wrong square ends up with situations like this. Now you can't go back to g1. King has nowhere to go and it's not checkmate. So the queen would have to go. So yeah, just really taking the time to appreciate, the difference. I feel like this is how I grew up dealing with notations, right? Even though people like to do the quicker version of it, but this way I know exactly what square each piece is leaving from, right? So e4 to the g3, g1 to the h1, right? So you get to see how the game plays, right? All right, so again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This was Bossman Teaching speaking. On behalf of First Person Tutor, hope you had fun watching all of this.